and just as a little parenthesis, there's a whole reason why he does that, and that's to thwart Ephesians 4:13, to thwart Jesus Christ's return, and to keep the church in a tremendous stronghold, so that God will either judge the church or that it will thwart his return. So that's another purpose, and another purpose is to create his new man. And so as we began to see that in the early 90s, this began to come out as how the Nephilim is, or what is Satan's plan with the Nephilim. It includes the image, him stealing God's image, anchoring his entire structure on that image, and creating his new man corporately in order to have that foundation to bring in the beast, the prophet, the Antichrist. Because we are created, it's another theological discussion, but there's a tripartness. Some people believe in only two parts, but spirit, soul, and body. And so, in a sense, he has also taken that as part of the image as well, and dissociated the three parts as a three-part core, and placed that and anchored that in the image through Satan's throne, as well as counterfeiting the Trinity. And so that's what we have found I began to discover in the early 90s, but then I think we've also discovered that in many, many people who are Nephilim mothers as well.
Thank you. I just want to insert something here. I forgot, and I'm going to be redoing that other introduction, but in John 10:10, Jesus says, "The thief comes only to steal." So right at new birth, there's been a calculated purpose to lead you to Christ by the cult. And this flies, if you make salvation the ultimate goal, you have a problem with this. Well, I can't believe that Satan would do that. Well, you don't understand what he's up to. He's making a compromise. New birth, if he cannot stop new birth, but if he can capture it, control it, and utilize it for his end as a thief, then he will, and he has. And so that seed of God that comes in, if this is the last generation, then he must do something to preempt that seed coming to maturity. He must do something. And so he comes to, notice, the thief comes only to steal, So this is the generation which he has stolen, that new created image of God, not because he can remove it from you or destroy it. He was joined to the Lord as one spirit, but he's able to somehow create a template, like a photograph, something of an imprint. So he can take that so that it's transferable at age 13 when you conceive and give birth to this new generation of hybrids that is to be the replacement of Homo sapien. It's not the replacement of the one new man, it's his counterfeit. And only the Christian can understand this. Unbelievers cannot. So when the mark of the beast is offered to unbelievers, they're going to just take it because you shall be like God, you shall live forever. It's his best offer that he has to offer to fallen mankind who has rejected Christ. You see. So I forgot to bring in that passage that the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that you might have life and have it abundantly. So notice, steal comes first, and this is the real key of what takes place at new birth, and then how he takes that which he has stolen and is able to transfer that through the Conception Act at age 13 to produce a first-generation prototype hybrid that will represent the image of the beast. Who else? Who else wants to follow? Sure.
If I can explain it how I want to say it, but I just think it's interesting how, like, Satan from the beginning wanted to be in the place of the Lord. Like, he wanted to be the morning star. And so it's like when at new birth, we are joined to the morning star. We are joined and linked with the Lord, and he lives inside us. And we have that perfected man living inside us. And so Satan basically wraps as I would put it, that connection in death. So it's like we sort of like, our capacity for maturity is like stunted. It's like, so not only does he try to put in death our capacity to come to maturity, to live out of our new humanity, but he also uses, somehow is able to use that morning star that we're connected with, to use that for his purposes. And I hope I'm explaining that right. But because it's like he wanted to be that morning star, and he sought to be that morning star, and now that's what he's doing in this age, is wanting to reach that morning star status again. And he never had it, really. He never did. He had, okay, sorry. But he had it in the beginning and before he fell, but it's like he wants to gain that back through what he's doing in this age. Through that sexual event at the conception of the Nephilim, so that ability to be, how I say it, the ability to be that morning star can be transferred to that new Nephilim, and he can build his new humanity on kind of the essences of those who are connected with the morning star, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So that's kind of how I see it, but it's his counterfeit. It's still his counterfeit. It's not really like the humanity that the Lord, the new humanity and the new man, one new man that the Lord had planned for us. It's Satan's counterfeit, and it's only that. So that's why.
Yeah, there's a certain replication of the image, but there's no life. Whatever that image is, there's no divine life. Exactly. Because Christ is the life of the new humanity. So all he can do is create some, it can only have a representation that has any deceptive meaning to those who do not have divine life. If we have divine life, we know the difference between some Nephilim hybrid and the new creation identity. We would not be fooled, because we could look into the eyes of that entity and there would only be spiritual death. But I think you brought up a really good point, is that in the beginning, Isaiah 14, and Susan can comment on that, is that in the beginning, before he fell, Lucifer was Halel ben Shakir. In other words, he was the shining one, the son of the morning, son of the dawn. That's morning star. When he fell, he lost that glory, but now he masquerades as an angel of light. And I think, like you said, he's trying to recover his morning star status when Jesus Christ, according to Revelation 22, 16, 17, I'm the root and offspring of David, the bright and morning star, and the Spirit and the bride say, come. So the bridegroom is the morning star. So he is very jealous to try to gain back for himself that which Jesus Christ has obtained for us. Jesus Christ, as man, has replaced Lucifer as the morning star. And so that, you can comment on that, because I know you had some thoughts, Susan.
Yes, I got up and did some studying this morning, and I started out in Isaiah 12 just to read it. How you have fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, dawn, son of the dawn, you have been cut down to the earth. Who have weakened the nations. And then it goes into the 5 I wills of Satan.
What chapter are you in now?
Isaiah 14,
okay,
chapter 12.
Okay.
I'm sorry, verse 12 of chapter 14 of Isaiah. And because in originally, as you already said, he can only reflect the glory of God. He does not have it within himself. And now to set up his kingdom in this time, to come forth with his homo noeticus, his corporate type of morning star company, to manifest that, he has to steal it. He has to steal it, and I think we've gone into that. And the only place he can steal that from is from the heart of Christians, where the Lord has planted his seed. And I went through and I did just kind of a study of light, because we know that Jesus Christ is the effulgence of God. He sets forth the image of God. And so whatever he can capture to keep us as a corporate company from manifesting that corporately at the end in a manifestation of the corporate morning star through Jesus Christ. So when I think of what he's actually captured, and there's a specific reason I think it started in this generation is because we're coming down to the hour of seeing Jesus Christ manifested corporately in his people, as we see in Revelation 1, and manifested fully in his glory. So what he wants to capture at this time is that capacity for us to manifest that glory. And if he can capture it at an early age, as he had with us, working with us, bringing and mingling into our lives and capturing that at new birth to himself, then this is the way he is establishing his throne. It is the way he is establishing his rule over his kingdom as a copy of what the Lord is going at the return of his kingdom in this age. And so that's just what I was thinking about. And I know that specifically there's no coincidence that Dan was born on the day Israel became a nation, and I was born 2 years later on the day that Israel became a nation. The first Nephilim that we know being born was around 1949, 1962. Okay, 1962. So this is specifically designed for this generation to block the rising of Jesus Christ as morning star. Right. And so this is the generation. And I know that just within my own system at New Birth, we just worked on this last week, there was the internalization of the conflict between the seed of Satan and the seed of Christ.
This is internalized.
It was internalized. At New Birth, there was that which was perceived, through torture and a huge amount of abuse and confusion and incest around New Birth in Jerusalem. A part of me was sequestered off as dead in eternity past. A part of my humanity, there was a two-course split, and that which was perceived to be dead was the seed of Satan, the bad seed. That which went on was the seed of Christ. And in the integration process, I've always kept trying to go back to the seed of Christ, and did not recognize that a whole part of my humanity had been sequestered off in the seed of Satan, or what was perceived by me as a little girl to be the bad seed.
That was traumatized.
That was held in death. And when we went after this, it was as if we were gutting the bowels of the dragon. It was huge warfare to get these two seeds released and brought together. And in that so that I'm illustrating that and saying that at the conception, every time there was a conception of Nephilim, this was reinforced. This split right there at New Birth was reinforced. And that which was sequestered off was reinforced through the conception of the Nephilim. And so that's what was being done internally in me anyway, at the conception of each one of the Nephilim that I bore, was that initial split. Because Satan does not want us to have that capacity to grow and mature.
So I think it's really important just to insert this time, is that there's a theological proposition that the human spirit is sanctified at new birth. It is not. He was joined to the Lord as one spirit, 1 Corinthians 6:17. But we know that the human spirit can be defiled, 2 Corinthians 7:1, and therefore is capable of sanctification, 1 Thessalonians 5:23. So he is able to come in right at new birth and wrap himself around as a spiritual entity in death and leech or siphon off as much as he can. He can't break that one spirit union with the Lord, but he can steal aspects or features of the human spirit that represent the capacity to display Christ as morning star. So if he can sequester that in death in your DID system, then he holds that in death to buy as much time as he can, and then he takes that imprint, that image of Christ that comes in at new birth, and he somehow takes that as like if he can look at that as the seed of God that comes in at new birth, in that seed, take a MRI of the spiritual DNA of the seed of God, 1 John 3:9. Take an MRI of that as a spiritual being, and then create a template so that at 13, when there's the conception, he can now transfer that image